Hey, what's up, Vol Nation? This is Frank. This is the House of Orange coming at you. Tennessee, in my opinion, desperately needs a win to get back on track tomorrow. Number 5 versus number 8. Florida, of course, the first time around, blew Tennessee out of the building 73-43. It was an offensive performance of epic proportions, not in a good way for Tennessee. And they got absolutely annihilated on the boards that night, 56-37. So how does Tennessee combat that tomorrow? To me, I'm not going to beat around the bush about it. I think it's must win. You're 4-4 in conference right now. You're on a bit of a skid. You just had, Kentucky just shot the lights out against you Tuesday night. Just a week ago, you really should have won that game against Auburn. And I've talked enough about that freaking game. Actually, you look at the Vanderbilt game a couple of weeks ago. Very winnable game. The Florida one, Florida blew them out. The other 3 wins, if Tennessee has any resemblance of an offense Tuesday night, I think they win that game. They were pretty bad, and they settled for, 43 threes in the game, and still only lost by 5 points, and you only hit 11 of them. That's not going to get it done in conference play. Couple things to make you feel good on it, though. Tennessee, over the last 4 years, is 55-5 at home. They don't lose often at home, and they definitely don't lose back-to-back at home. I'm not saying they haven't during that time. I don't have pulled up the losses, but they don't lose often at home during that time. And as 2 top 10 teams, which Florida's 5, Tennessee's 8, Tennessee under Barnes, where they've been the lower ranked team, is 3-0 at home in those games. So, but how does Tennessee combat? Where do you change? If you look back at that first matchup with Florida, Florida didn't just shoot the lights out in that game. They really didn't. If I look back on that one now, in that game, Florida shot, for the game, 39, right at 40% field goals, 30% from threes, and they were 13 out of 17 to free throws. That's not earth-shattering numbers, and I don't mean that to take away from Florida by any means, but Tennessee's defense in that game was not that bad. You look on Tennessee's side of things, though, for the game. They shot 21% from field goal, 13.8 from three-point, and they shot 60% free throw line, 15 out of 25. That's pathetic. That's a joke. That's embarrassing. That's just, they would have had to shot a whole lot better to be in that game because they got run out of the building by 30 points. But, you look at that game, too. You had Milicic, 8.7 boards. I thought Akpara was easily their best player that night for Tennessee, 8 and 7. Chaz had 10 points, but he was 3 out of 16, 1 out of 9. Ziegler, 10 points, 4 out of 12, 1 out of 6. Meshack, no points, Gainey, 7. Phillips, of course, he played very little because he was hurt. Dubar, none. Boswell. Now, I was looking at Boswell's numbers. He's played in 17 games. He averages 0.3 points per game. A criticism of mine with these Rick Barnes teams. We don't need a team full of defenders. You've got to have some offense at some point. I think the Barnes way, let's get 1 or 2 offensive guys, and then we'll get a bunch of defensive guys. You're not winning any kind of championships, not national, with that philosophy. Dalton Connect was the exception last year. He was an offensive player like we've not seen in a long, long time in Knoxville. But, right now, I look at the other night against Kentucky. There were times out there where you had like Akpara, Phillips, Meshack. I'm trying to think, was Boswell out there with them too at some point? You have no threat of Meshack can. I still maintain Meshack could do more offensively. I just don't think that's his role on the team. It's designed for Ziegler, Lanier, Gainey to kind of do their thing. The problem is none of those guys are great shooters. And Ziegler, phenomenal Heck of a point guard. Great point. Possibly the best actual point guard in college basketball, arguably. Can break down the defense. He can get to the rim. He can't shoot well. He's not a good shooter. There will be games where he may hit 3 or 4 threes. It's been the exception rather than the norm this year. He's shooting 26% in conference play. Chaz Lanier looks to me like a guy whose confidence is shot. Right now, I just think it gets to a point. This may be an unpopular opinion here. Dalton Connect was the exception in, I think he could handle the Barnes style of coaching. He was a guy who took it, he embraced it, he got better with it. That's why he earned Rick Barnes' trust. Ziegler can take it along. I'm not saying there's not. We've seen numerous guys come in, offensive, supposed to be really good offensively. They can't handle the Rick Barnes style, that he just beats them down. Rick Barnes has his system, and that's what he's going to go with. I mean, you look at it over the years, these recruiting classes, none of them are panning out right now. Ziegler and Meshack are the exception rather than the norm. And I keep using that phrase, but it's what it is. Most of this team is transfers. So, I mean, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence next year with it. Now, they're still in on some really good prospects, but I'll be honest, I've seen numerous 5 stars come through here, and they don't look it. And I don't know if that's so much them or just have trouble playing in this system along the way. But Chaz Lanier, man, he just looks like a guy whose confidence is shot. He took a good shot against Kentucky. He looked to me like he had the fire in his eyes. He got aggressive. He drained a 3 before the half. I'm like, he's on now. He looked good on that one. But, man, he took so many rush shots. And I think he's settling too much for a 3-pointer. I really feel like this dude could get to the basket and do some things with it. But I don't know if teams – I felt like Kentucky was daring them to beat them from the outside, and Tennessee was not trying to combat that too much. They were content to sit out and shoot the 3. For Tennessee to win tomorrow, I mean, if you tell me they hold Florida to 73 with those same numbers tomorrow, I would think Tennessee can win that game. But the problem is right now, Tennessee in conference play is averaging just, we'll say 60, right at 67 points per game. They're giving up 64. Florida is averaging about 81 and giving up 69 on it. That's Florida's averaging right at about 15 points more per game in conference right now. Tennessee's going to have to shut them down. You're going to have to, I don't necessarily think you have to win the rebounding battle, but you can't lose it by 19 either. If you keep it within 5, I think that's a pretty good thing. And Tennessee's capable of winning that rebounding battle. Florida's a big team, though. So, how are you going to combat that tomorrow? Your defense cannot be what it was against Kentucky because this Florida team can score. They're very good offensively. We got to get something's got to change offensively with this Tennessee team, though. And, maybe it's just the funk. Maybe it was that non-conference schedule give us a much more inflated opinion of where this team's at. Now, I did hear Jay Billis today on PTI talking about the SEC, and he named a few teams Final Four contenders. He said Tennessee's right there. He didn't say they're a Final Four team now, but he said Tennessee's close. They've got some things to work on. I totally agree with him on that. You got to get this offense going. You got to get some confidence going in these guys. And this is not a team that's designed to just sit outside and shoot threes all day. And Barnes said he wasn't happy about it the other night. Call a timeout and fix it then. Call a timeout and get them back on course if that's the case. Like I said, there's just guys I don't need to be seeing shoot that many threes like they did the other night. And I got to put part of that on Barnes if you're not calling timeouts. So, yeah, players make plays. Players take shots. But if you want them to get it in more, you call a timeout and get it in there. Now, I say that. Obviously, Barnes knows a lot more than I am, ever will, about basketball. But we'll see how it goes. Is this team, where are they at? I think we're going to learn a lot about them tomorrow. Do they bounce back from this, or does the skid continue. To me, it's must win. I don't see any other way around this. If you're going to get up and be one of those higher seeds, you've got to have this one tomorrow at home. Wrapping up on that one. This is Frank, House of Orange. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, share out the content. If you have not and you like the content, hit that subscribe as well. You guys have a great rest of your evening. And last but most certainly not least, it's always a great day to wear the orange.